The in-laws have to leave. Can I hide? Okay, now we're leaving. Hi, baby. Yeah, I'm leaving too. Let's go take a drive somewhere.
Well, go ahead and get started. Again, we'd like to welcome everybody to the Brewer Family Reunion, and glad that you could come and be a part of our reunion. And I wonder if there's anyone here this year that was not here last year. Well, y'all came by. Weren't you here last time? All of you may have noticed that this year we're absent a person that's always enjoyed coming to the family reunions and looks forward to being here every year, and that's Clifford Waters. And he was, I guess, for the past several years that we've been having it,
he said to tell everybody hello and he'd try to make it next year.
Okay, we missed you.
he always likes to talk to different people and always enjoyed being a part of it. Recognize the oldest person this year and the youngest person. Maybe the youngest, but the oldest one might not want to be recognized. Who's the youngest here? Anybody want to volunteer for the oldest one? Anybody anybody above 70? Anybody above 75? Anybody above 80? Anybody above 80, Randy?
They're crazy.
Anybody that's old.
Anybody here?
Well, I guess I'll be the oldest of the family.
You're the oldest of the family?
I guess.
You want to tell us your age?
Y'all listen this, I'll tell you. I had a birthday last Tuesday and I was 82.
Emma just said that our Aunt Irene had a birthday last week.
Yeah.
And she would be 81. So I guess Gay is the oldest, the one of the family. And
But don't you all run off and spread it all over.
yeah, that'd be headline. Before we get started, we don't really have a formal program this afternoon. Before we get started, Kathy has asked that she have your attention for just a few minutes. Okay?
I won't take but a minute, but I wanted to share this. Most of you know me. I'm Ronnie's wife, Christine's daughter-in-law, Christine Cole. And I had a kidney transplant about 3 months ago, which has totally just made me a different person physically. It's given me a new life. It's really starting things off for me. But about 2 weeks after I had my transplant, I wrote the family of the boy that I received the kidney from. And the way I didn't know who they were, but my transplant coordinator sent my letter to their part of the country and gave them the letter. So I received a reply yesterday from the family, which it was my birthday, and it was a great birthday present to get. But I'm interested in kind of promoting organ donation in the county, not in a big way, but every once in a while I thought, well, maybe I can start with this bunch a little bit. But I just want to make you aware of how important it is to consider the possibility of organ donation, especially a younger bunch you know, because at a certain age they quit taking the organs. But I'd like to share this letter with you just to let you know how important it is and how the family that does do the organ donating, maybe how they feel about it. But I'd like y'all to listen to it. And it says, Dear Kathy, this is probably one of the most difficult letters I've ever had to write because it involves so very heavy and conflicting emotions. We are so very happy for you and your family and that the transplant was such a success. But at the same time, we are devastated at the reasons for it all, the loss of our son. Obviously, we could have chosen not to correspond, but our curiosity won out, and after receiving such a beautiful letter from you, we felt obligated to respond. To begin with, my husband, Denny, age 43, is a communications technician with the U.S. State Department in Washington, D.C. I am 41 and am not currently working, although I had while we were in Africa. We live in a very friendly and fast-growing town of Frederick, Maryland, about 45 miles northwest of Washington. With the State Department, we had the opportunity to spend 2 years with the American Embassy it tells where they were at in Africa, and I'm not sure how to pronounce it. From September 85 to 87. Naturally, our son Derek accompanied us and graduated from the American Cooperative School there in June 87. In all honesty, the focal point of this whole letter is Derek, since he is your donor, so maybe it would benefit you somehow to know a little bit about him. To begin with, he was our only child, and therefore everything we did revolved around him. He was not the typical spoiled only child, and that is not just our opinion, but one that was voiced by all who knew him. He laughed a lot and made friends quite easily. He was a real teaser and was always playing practical jokes. He got along just as easily with people more than twice his age as he did with toddlers. He loved animals and would speak up to defend the mistreated of one. But then he would speak up about anything that was bothering him, a trait that occasionally got him into hot water, but one that we encouraged. He had had a motorcycle since he was 7 years old and was a member of the Middle Atlantic Motocross Association, where he raced for 4 years and won many trophies and made many friends. While in Africa, since we lived on the beach, he got hooked on surfing, a sport he shared with his dad. Back in the States, he got into restoring Volkswagen vehicles and started a whole new love in his life. In short, he was a vivacious person with an infectious and winning personality who loved life because he lived every minute of it. He was too high on life to get into drugs and alcohol. When he set his mind on doing something, he did it. Although he lived only a little over 18 years, he probably did more in that short span than some people have in 75. And in fact, he died doing one of the things he dearly loved, racing his motorcycle with his friends, or riding his motorcycle with his friends. Yes, he was wearing a helmet, and a very good one too, but apparently that was not enough. He was unconscious from the time of impact until his death 5 days later, so he never suffered. And since he had miraculously escaped any other internal injuries, we felt it was a sign that he should be a donor. In a way, it made some sense out of such a senseless tragedy. And today, as far as we know, 4 people, including you, are alive because of Derek, and 2 people can now see. You, however, are the only recipient who has chosen to write to us. Knowing how difficult it must have been for you to take that first step, we can only appreciate your letter even more. Obviously, it was sincere from the heart, and you know only too well how fragile and precious life is. Our hearts and prayers go out to you and your family. May God grant you many years of good health and happiness. Thanks for the beautiful letter, and please keep in touch. It is a compelling reminder to both of us that our tragedy has brought renewed health and happiness to you and yours, Brenda and Denny Peckler. And I just wanted to let you know that.
As I said, we don't really have any big formal quote here this afternoon. I told Janice it's sort of hard to come up with something every year, something different that would hold everybody's attention and see the different things maybe that we try to put together. But she and I put together, she did most of it. I have to give her most of the credit. But she put
put together some things that I know all of you, most of you have been up here and looked at the leaflets that were put together, and if you've noticed that most of it is probably geared around our immediate family, and I think that's understandable since that information is more accessible to us. But if you noticed, I don't know if you noticed this little note that we have up here on top. If anyone would like to have their family charge placed on the board for next year's reunion, please, let us know, and we'll put together something like we have here for your family. Of course, if anybody, if you want to do it on your own, that's fine too, and we'd be glad for you to put that information together and share it with everybody as they come to reunions. This is all pretty easy to do because it's done on the computer and it doesn't take a whole lot of except just typing in some information. As I told you last year, we would display the photographs that we took, thanks to Ricky Hudson, who took the pictures, and this is what we put together for showing last year's reunion and those who attended and the different families that we took the pictures of. I also put on this chart some old pictures of my parents and my grandparents. And if you didn't recognize them, this is Mutt and Loretta. This is Mutt. This is Loretta. And this is Happy Hodge. Well, what we always call him Happy Hodge. I never did know the man. I think he died in February of '43, and I was born in May of '43. So that's my grandparents. We also put a list here of those who attended last year's reunion. And while I'm thinking about that, we have sign-up sheets over here, and we'd really like for everybody to sign up. If you don't sign up, then you don't get your name in the paper. Sometimes when you sign up, you still don't get your name in the paper, right, Terry Hudson? But we would like to keep a record of it, and I have a sheet there, and so does Christine, and she'd like for you to sign hers as well. So everybody, please sign that we have up here, and when we get through here, if anybody has any good stories that they'd like to tell, we'll sure recognize and let you come up front and tell some stories. I know Paul, he's bound to have a story too, and Uncle Eldon.
I was just looking at a picture there in the middle. What a mess he caused.
Boy, he sure did. But let's go back as far back, I guess, as we can. And this is as far back as we can. This says Thomas Brewer married somebody Drake. Now, for those of you and those young people that are here, get a good history lesson. This Drake right here is the sister of Sir Francis.
Oh, I'm great.
And so Greg Brewer said a while ago, that ought to make me Sir Greg Brewer. But, if you think about it, that's pretty something. Jamie Barrett, where's Jamie? You want to tell everybody who Sir Francis Drake was?
He defeated the Spanish Armada.
Defeated the Spanish
He was a
Armada.
pirate.
He was a pirate, so